Hey there, brother. This is Stephen Dan again, here to have another conversation with you about one of the ways you can build more intimacy with other people, and for most likely your wife or your girlfriend. We want to talk about this edge that guys avoid, the edge of actually giving people benefit of the doubt. There's something us guys do really well, and that is to sometimes judge or villainize other people. It's a favorite pastime these days for women to villainize men, men to villainize women. Sometimes we'll villainize teenagers who live in their parents' basements. I villainize other drivers because they're all too slow for me. Sometimes I'll villainize a bad dog, and all dogs that look like pit bulls are bad to me, even though my neighbor has the sweetest pit bull dog. And we want to talk to you about how to put on a different pair of glasses to help you build intimacy by changing the way you think about something in front of you that's agitating you or annoying you or somehow making you feel bad. And so let's talk about this. Let's talk about how hard it is to view someone in a better light so that when you change the way you see them, they actually feel it and they change in ways that feel more intimate, more trusting, more safe, more connecting to you. So, Dan and I want to talk about some examples of this going forward. Dan, you want to share one that you have in your life? I'm going to share one about animals because I learned a lot of this dealing with horses. But let's talk about people first. How do you push this edge of acceptance that we've been talking about?
I'm gonna share one from past, not so much now, but definitely in the past where maybe I would have been my relationship wasn't where I wanted it to be. There wasn't enough intimacy and sexuality happening, and I was trying to work out how to fix this, how to resolve this, how to lead it forward. And maybe I just read a piece of content or watched a video that basically was, well, these are the reasons why women deliberately do this to you. This is why she's deliberately withholding intimacy, sex, affection, all of this kind of stuff from you. And so then I would just have, the red mist would be there and I'd be holding it back a little bit, but it would be steaming out my ears. It would definitely be coming off me in some way or another. And, and believing that in some way or another, somebody has woken up that morning and gone, yeah, I'm gonna deliberately piss this person off and deliberately withhold something from them just to make their life shit, which is what a lot of the content kind of says is true. What I've found, certainly in the years of coaching guys and supporting guys around this, and in my own life too, is that actually there's usually something else going on. There's something else going on inside the other person that is causing them to behave the way that they do. And a lot of that stuff comes from, yes, childhood things and that sort of stuff, but also a lot of it comes from day-to-day stuff, or maybe even just bodily sensation stuff. So there's always something that's happening right now in this moment. And if you can actually get to that information, what's happening right now in this moment with the other person, then there's an opportunity for connection and intimacy to happen. And this whole,
What happens when you did the opposite? When the old version of just assuming the worst,
what happens
going to
there?
the red mist.
I mean, we would just go through the usual cycles and end up in a conversation around, well, I guess this just isn't going to work out then. I guess this is just pointless.
It's funny. The opposite of intimacy is separation, or in marriage, it's just let's just throw in the towel. Let's get it over with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, wow. So for years you've been trying to turn the tables and see what's really going on. How does that build intimacy?
Well, it means that I can, one, understand the other person a lot better. I actually feel like I get to the reality of the situation rather than being in some kind of story in my head. When you're not communicating with each other, well, one, there's no connection and no intimacy when you're not communicating with each other. And then you end up making up the story in your head about what this is, what's really going on without trying to get the real information. So I think the biggest thing there is, well, one, I learned a load of school skills which have been really useful in lots of different areas of my life, not just with my relationship, but also with kids, friends, people I work with, all that sort of stuff, family members. And two, I get to really understand what the reality of somebody's situation is, not my story about the reality of that situation, not my perspective, or maybe I had a particular outcome that I wanted before I went into a conversation or went into the bedroom or whatever it was, and so I've immediately got a bias, I've immediately got a skewed perspective.
I was going to do an example here for guys. The old way that I was being was the opposite of accepting, the opposite of giving people benefit of the doubt. It's immediate judgment. I would put on glasses, and these are my villain glasses. I would see everyone who drives faster than me as an idiot, everyone who drives slower than me as an asshole. Any horse that doesn't behave the way it should is a stupid horse, right? Any woman who doesn't seem to pay attention or like me is probably stuck up, right? Um, so we have these glasses that have all darkness and negativity. We assume the worst. We give nothing benefit of the doubt. And we get some benefit out of this. We get some benefit out of putting the glasses on of negativity and judgment because it somehow makes us feel better. It's one of the favorite human pastimes. I should say it's a favorite human pastime for insecure people. So as Dan and I have been making this journey from being insecure, bewildered men confused about life and women into the realm of a more confident, secure man who feels grounded in who he is, we notice that there's a pair of glasses you can put on that lets you see things differently. You see things more gently. Now, Jesus Christ said this, Buddha said this. This is not new information, guys. When you lead with a filter of love and empathy and understanding, you start to soften, you start to smirk, you start to become more playful, you start to see that everything you think is so serious and so affecting you, it's not true. There's another game being played on the sidelines, and sometimes it's another person's thoughts, another person's fear, another person's insecurity. The horse is always scared of something, which is why he never does what you ask it to do until he feels safe. And with the glasses of compassion and this edgy acceptance, where you try to adopt this thing where nobody's actually trying to hurt me. And if I can actually change the way I see other people, they will feel it. And that in effect will change their response to me. This puts you in the driver's seat. You get to project goodness, you get to project empathy, you get to project compassion, you get to project this light feeling of smirky playfulness that you're not taking everything seriously, which makes other people around you playful and light and soft. And when we talk about building intimacy with anybody, other men or women, if we're talking about sexual intimacy, a woman who wants to take her clothes off and get naked with you under the covers will only do that when her whole body feels soft, safe, and playful. Soft, safe, and playful. That's what every man wants. Let's admit it. And if you want that, you have to put on these glasses that sees her as that person, not as a villain who's actually trying to hurt your feelings or emasculate you or whatever the story is in your head. This is ninja level stuff, dude. This is really important because when you do this for everything in the world, my edge right now is with driving. I still think people drive too slow. I don't know why I drive so fast. I have to really work on the judgment on the road. I'm not a road rager, but I spend some time suffering just judging other drivers. And I say suffering is because my thoughts are not the best thoughts in the world. And if you want to avoid suffering, if you want to avoid suffering, you have to stop desiring that other people are going to mold to your will and think the way you think and do everything the way you think they should. You need better classes.
I think there's one more part of this. You mentioned the word acceptance, and I think that acceptance is key in terms of where intimacy and connection lives is only in a place of acceptance. But then guys will say, well, how can I accept this situation? Because I'm not happy with this, and I don't like this part about the other person. And you have to kind of put that stuff down for a bit and go, right now, can I accept what's happening in this situation so that I can find out what the reality is? Because I don't actually know what the reality is. I'm making up a story that this is what's going on, that this person is being crappy in this way, or that they should pull their socks up and get things together in the way that I would like them to. But none of that's what's actually happening. And until you get to the truth of what's actually happening, which requires that you have acceptance and curiosity. So it's a
Yeah.
muscle. I think this is a growth edge. So we were talking just before we did this video. How is this a growth edge? Because it seems like I'm backing down a little bit from what I want, right? It seems like I'm backing down a little bit from leading the relationship. But actually, this is a growth edge because it's not easy to do. We're not used to being able to do it. Although we do it really well with our kids and we do it really well with if I have an important business meeting. Oh, I'm as curious as fuck in the important business meeting. If there's some money on the table, right? I can be great with that. So I think, yeah, acceptance and curiosity is a key part, and maybe throw in the word patience there, which is another
Yeah.
growth edge for a lot of us.
What you're talking about is being mindful to the process of getting what you want as opposed to, having a grievance over not having what you want. Everyone wants something. We want more intimacy, more closeness, more affection, more sex. I also want to be a better golfer. I want to have more money. There is a process to being the kind of person who gets those things. The edge here is knowing that if you focus more on who you're becoming in the process of being that person, as opposed to what you're not getting, the outcome. This is called outcome independence. I'm going golfing later today. I'm going to suck. I know there's a process that I don't follow to being a more consistent hitter, to having lower scores. I don't follow that process. One reason I can go golfing and not get mad is because I know I'm not the kind of person who hits balls well all the time. I'm not the kind of person who has low golf scores. I'm just not that person because I'm not accepting the fact that if I want that, I would have to be in the process of practicing the way a good golfer practices. If I want more money in my retirement account, I would have to be the kind of person who knows how to invest better and how to save more diligently and to be more mindful. If I want more intimacy with a woman and more closeness, I have to pay more attention to the process of creating that than to the fact that I don't have it right now. Process versus outcome. This is what we're challenging you with today, is to be mindful of accepting that you are the creator of the process, not the outcome. Be the kind of guy who gets what you want.
Yeah. And of course, this is what we do with guys all day, every day in our communities and our coaching. So if this sounds interesting to you, if this sounds like something, an edge that you definitely realize, maybe you're bumping into those conversations in your relationship where things don't go well every time. There's like a cycle that keeps repeating. This is probably the process that you need to start playing around with and learning.
Absolutely. Go to www.goodguystogreatmen.com. Send us an email, send us an application to talk about having a longer conversation about where you want to go next. You've got too much time in front of you to waste it, so let's go.